78.6 FM, positive vibes of Winsome. Man, there is no place I would rather be on the island than here with you right now. Man, I'm so excited to be back. Hey, man, there's a lot to catch y'all up on. The career advisor job, I guess we changed our names to development advisor recently. It's not official yet through, our government channels, but, we got the word that we're going to change our name for a third time since I've been in this job, and which is great. And because it gives me a chance to really highlight what we do, not just for our branch of service, but for everybody who walks through our doors, from military, civilian, spouses, other branches, of course. And then, of course, what we're doing with other countries right now. Not a lot of people have these opportunities to broaden their opportunities to teach, coach, motivate, and inspire that we have in this region. My sister Ashley over in Nevada, she's also does this job there, and she recently told me that they're working with a lot of other countries now too to do the same thing: motivate, inspire, educate, and that's really exciting. So we want to make sure our title doesn't limit us to things that we're able to do for others, and I think changing our name to development advisor for my day-to-day job, right, is a wonderful move. Hey, again, 78.6 FM, positive vibes of Winsome, so much happening. My brother and I over here at the job, we've had a lot of new classes that we rolled out for this quarter. A lot of great things from the EQ. You guys know emotional intelligence that's my joy. I love walking in a room and teaching 2 classes this quarter, and it makes me smile every time. One is Failing Forward, which is literally telling the story of some of the things that, I survived in my career, and helping people survive their worst days, right? Not seeing these challenges as failures, but more or as stories, right? As mistakes. And how do you overcome those, and how do you learn from it? The sad thing is, a lot of people didn't know that a failure and a mistake are not the same thing. So when we're explaining that, it's really cool to see everybody kind of sit up in their chair and like, wow. Yeah, it's how you look at things and where you go from there. What do you do next? So that's what I get to do on a day-to-day basis. In this quarter, we've had a lot of beautiful opportunities to go to units, of course, travel abroad and virtually teach, and in our own classrooms, some of these lessons. He's teaching 7 habits from Covey. It's our own little version that he came up with of 7 habits. Based on the concepts that Stephen Covey and their team presented a few years back. Additionally, he's teaching work-life harmony, let me not miss anything, and servant leadership. I've been pushing him, really, my teammate there, to really get one class up and running that I'm excited about, just the concept, which is psychological safety. What he doesn't know is that if he doesn't hurry up, I'm going to go ahead and put it together, and it's going to be forwarded by Winsome Cully, but on his behalf. That's how I'm going to do it, because that is something I'm really excited for everybody to understand, is not only just being a leader, but just being a part of any team and ensuring that team has psychological safety embedded in its everyday move. That is something I'm really excited about. Hey, guys. You win some, you lose some podcast. Thank you so much for those who are listening to the podcast right now. Thanks to you, my first 30 days running, I was one of the top 10 podcasts in Japan. That is wow. I can't tell you how, when you wake up to messages like that, how amazing that feels. Even if it didn't last, the fact that you guys are listening, sharing it, and making sure everybody has an opportunity to listen to just, words from the heart. I never come in here and try to give you something that someone else is already saying. I try to tell you everything from the heart, from experiences, lessons learned, and from things that we're learning to teach back to everyone else that a lot of people don't have access to. How to survive your worst days. How to understand what these things such as growth mindsets, emotional intelligence, failing forward, what's the program now? The resiliency courses that we teach. Think about that. If we had more people out there that weren't solely focused on teaching you how to be a better leader and get certifications, but instead we're trying to encourage, inspire, and help people survive their worst days. And the key is, we always heard those terms such as bounce back when we were coming through the ages, right? 2023, nah, how do we navigate through? How do we get to the other side of this mistake, this problem, this issue, this stressor? And when we get to the other side, how do we reach our hand back and pull somebody else with us? The key is not a lot of people do that. We go through our own story, and then it's not until it's an advantageous opportunity do we choose to share that story. But see, your story, your blessed story of survival, overcoming, triumph, is what other people need to hear. And it's what other people don't have. We see it in movies, but again, that's a movie, a TV show, a cartoon, whatever you have, a comic book that can be a made-up tale with a made-up ending. You see those Netflix shows, right? Based or inspired on true events. You can't tell what's actually been added or taken away. You just know that it's based on somebody's story. So we tell you the real deal. And I love having the opportunity to speak life. Yesterday, I had a young man come in, right? Now, if you guys follow me on Facebook, you saw this. I shared it because it warmed my whole heart. We had a week of teaching and a week of trying to prep for the rest of this quarter. We got boot camps coming up where we got other folks getting certifications, which has been my whole passion this last 4 or 5 months, setting this up for other people to grow, other people to have opportunities to build on themselves before they walk out and get into their next chapter. So this young man comes in, I guarantee you, or I promise you, it was like 4 o'clock, maybe 3:50. You know, usually for us, that's closing time. We're wrapping things up, closing things out. But I made that promise to everyone who I've ever had the opportunity to speak to. I said, if you come to us, if you walk in my office, I will stop time for you. If you call me, you text me, I will stop time for you. That is a promise that I made and a promise that I keep. So now it's 3:45, 3:50, coming up on closing time, wrap up hour, right? I'm trying to get out of there. We try to get out of here no later than 5 every night. And that last hour is normally closing out. But he comes in, and I can tell he's off shift somewhere because he's wearing civilian clothes, right? We're on base. The guy comes in with some shorts on, T-shirt, looks like he may be going to the beach, but really he's just off shift. So the young man comes in and he says, hey, senior, can I talk to you? Do you have a second? What's my promise? Of course I got a second, man. What do you got? What you got? What's up? And the young man sits down and he says, hey, he said, man, I came to 3 of the classes that you guys offer here. I went through, and he names the 3, taught by myself and my teammate, the other development advisor. And he says, I'm just going to tell you, it encouraged me. I needed to hear those words. I had never heard anything like that outside of listening to like motivational speakers on like, podcasts and things like that. And he mentioned certain ones. I ain't going to give him credit on this, right? Those folks. Now, I'm all jokes aside. He mentioned like a David Goggins type motivation. He said, those are the motivational words that I'm used to hearing and where I usually receive it from. He said, but to have that opportunity on base here on Kadena, to sit down with someone and to be in a classroom with my peers and friends and others who outrank me as well, but to hear you guys speak life into us, it meant everything to me. The young man broke down his story, and he was telling me about different things he's going through, to include decisions he's had to make, relationships, professional, personal. And it wasn't one of my normal coaching sessions. This was a young man just sitting there. He heard and felt our heart that we put out there when we were teaching. He saw how vulnerable we were, and he chose to be vulnerable with us. I'll tell you, at the end of this conversation, the young man looked at me. He said, we don't have that where I work. We don't have that in the people who have your rank. We don't have that in the folks that are supposed to be doing what you're doing. And when he asked me this, I'll tell you, this changed everything for me. So I'm listening. Of course, I don't do a lot of talking, right? This is your time to share with me. And I was nodding my head and listening to him and taking it all in. And he asked me, he said, I wouldn't even ask you this because I know you're busy, but I really need a mentor. I was going to ask you, but I know you're busy. Skirt, time out. I don't care if I got 100 people that I'm mentoring right now. The fact that you came here in between your shifts in civilian clothes, you walked in this door to be vulnerable, open, to share your story with me, and you wanted to ask me to be your mentor. I can get this request 1,000 times and I'll never tell you no. But I will tell you I'm going to hold you accountable. I will tell you I'm going to be that guy that's going to be on your shoulder like Jiminy Cricket. You tell me you're trying to reach a goal, I'm going to be pushing you. I'm going to tell you that I am not one of those mentors that is going to be taken for face value. If you ask me to be your mentor, I'm in Operation Big Brother. You're in Operation Umbrella. If you really want that, I'm down. And he said, yes, I was hoping. It was one of the coolest moments. And I'm going to tell you guys this. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been in this game. I've had this opportunity to mentor a lot. But when you're in the grind and when you're moving and when you're building and when you're putting stuff together, you got the radio show, the podcast, the classes, building the curriculums. When you got all this happening and you see someone that needs you, and when someone is being vulnerable and open, they're like, I just really, truly need this in my life, I will never tell you no. So that was one of those things going into my weekend that changed the whole. I was having a good week, but after that, I was having an amazing week. Because you forget. When you're moving, you forget exactly how powerful your words can be. You forget how you might be inspiring, motivating, and encouraging someone who's sitting in front of you. We always say this as encouragers, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not an influencer, but as an encourager, you always hope that one person. And remember this, guys, we got a class full of 40 in person, more than that virtually, and then you're reaching the other countries. So if one person can walk away and apply, take to heart, be moved, or it makes a difference or a change in that one life, then we did what we were supposed to do. So when they come back, not only is that confirmation that we're doing what we're supposed to do, but we know we're moving in a direction that we're supposed to go. Purpose. So thank you. Of course, I get permission to share stories, but I never share names because everybody's story is special for them. But thank you for the young man that came in yesterday. I'm going to tell you something. You changed and shifted my week from being a good week to an amazing week. And not just a good day, but a great day. And now I got a boost. One thing that a lot of people don't admit is when they go through a block. If you guys notice on the podcast, you got like a week gap. I was supposed to drop some stuff last weekend. And I'm going to tell you, I had my hands on so many things last week and this week that I was like, wow, I need to find time to get back to the cast. Even the radio show last week, I never dialed anything in, but it wasn't nothing I would drop on the podcast because it wasn't the same preparation. It wasn't the same emotion. It wasn't the same thought process. But after that boost, let me tell you something. You may not realize it, guys, but we try to go out and encourage you. But those moments like that encourage us too. You ask the question, who's caring for the caretaker? Who's loving the one that loves everybody else? It's that feedback that gives us life too. 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes of Winsome. It's so amazing to be back. So great to have new energy. So blessed to have people that are actually listening, sharing, and communicating the message. You are loved, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than here with you. Today we're going to talk about a couple of things, man. Next segment, when we come back, I'm going to give a shout out, of course, to the sponsors and to everybody who's been showing a lot of love for us here at Positive Vibes and 78.6 FM, the podcast, and the sites. I'm also, of course, give them their love. And then we're going to jump into you versus you. So excited to finally share that with you because there's so many of us that get stuck in our own heads. I want to help you get out of that. And then after that, I'm going to break down emotional intelligence. The podcast is going to have a more extended version, but I'm going to give you guys a 2-segment version of both of those that's going to be released on the podcast this weekend. 78.6 FM. Positive Vibes of Winsome. It is a beautiful day here in Yomaton. A little overcast, but it's not raining. The sun's not out here cooking us. The bugs haven't came out yet. Y'all know how I feel about the mist style bugs that they have here in Okinawa. I love everything. The nature is beautiful, but I'm scared of them big bugs that are about as big as me. Hey, we'll talk more about you versus you when we get back after this break. See you soon. 78.6 FM Yomaton, Positive Vibes of Winston. If you're looking at the YouTube channel from the station, y'all better not clown me because I went to the BX today to get a haircut, right? And due to a power outage, there was no barbers. The whole thing is shut down. And so I had to come here looking like my dad by the hairline and my mom by the face. So if y'all over here and you're clowning and I see it, I'm coming after you. No, I'm just joking. All jokes aside, yes, 78.6 FM Yomaton, Positive Vibes with Winsome. Today we're talking about you versus you. Let me tell you something. If you're here in Okinawa and you're listening on the radio, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're hearing this piece from the podcast, thank you for listening. Please share. I'm not here to speak. It's not about me. I'm trying to speak life into others. I'm so blessed with this opportunity. Couple things I want to talk to you about how to take your life back and understanding that a lot of times we are stuck in our own heads. And this comes from goals. This comes from moves. This comes from decision making. This comes to relationships. This comes to employment, jobs. We're stuck in our heads and we don't take steps because your mind plays tricks on you. A lot of times people allow their brain to convince them of things that's not good for them because of what others want for them. The number one thing I want to talk to you about is taking accountability of your life. The funny thing is a lot of people will take accountability for all the wins. Oh, man, I achieved this. I got this. I won this. I earned this. I am this. I promoted to this. They'll take all the credit for what they win, but they'll blame everybody else for what they don't have. Taking accountability of your life and taking part of taking your life back is taking advantage of the chance to say, I won some, I lost some, but I'm the one that made these decisions, and I am here where I am because of the decisions that I made in my life. Not blaming others, not blaming circumstances, not blaming lack of opportunities, not blaming the color of your skin, your gender, your belief. It's taking accountability for you. And see, when you start doing that, when you peel the onion back and you realize that every decision in your life has led you to where you are sitting, standing, or walking right now. Not one. Usually you make one bad decision, but guess what? It's not what happens then. It's what you do next. It's like we teach in the failing forward class. Hey, you bump your head a lot. But the key is, do you keep running into the same wall, or do you make better decisions based on what you learned when you bumped your head? And when you bumped your head, did you say, hey, man, this is how I bumped my head, where I bumped my head. I'm not going to bump my head the same way twice. Taking accountability for the wins and the losses. I was this. I was good at this. I was great at this. I'll tell you, I tease all the time, right, when I talk to folks about my story. Watch this. I was great at what I did for a living. I was a great father. Should I say I'm a great father, great at what I did for a living, great wingman, teammate, friend, great at self-promoting back then. But the one thing that I can never brag on is the fact that I was a horrible husband. I didn't understand what the 5 love languages meant. I was very selfish. It was all about me, 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 me. I never took a chance to say, wait a minute, it's supposed to be a team. Although I might be elevating, is my teammate elevating? I never took accountability for that till it was too late. And then you're stuck picking up all the pieces, trying to figure out the things that you could have done better. But all the signs were there. The communication from the other side was there, right? Little things like we don't do enough together. We don't go enough places. I don't feel like I'm moving here. I kind of feel like I'm trying to figure things out on my own while you're just elevating every month, week, quarter. So the signs are out there, but do you take accountability for the fact that you had to learn how to be a good person in a relationship as well? Nah. You're a lot of folks out there, and in relationships, they say the other person was crazy, or they had to figure it out, or it wasn't my time. We weren't good for each other. No. I'll tell anybody all day, every day that I had a lot to learn. And I wish I knew then what I know now about how to be a better person. about communication, about love languages, about quality time, right? Affirmations, right? Gifts, knowing what the other person actually wants from themselves. These are all things. How do you know this? And we're going to talk about emotional intelligence in a minute, but how would you know this in others if you don't know these things about yourself? Take accountability for who you are. Another thing I realized with a lot of these conversations I'm having with wonderful people and amazing people, a lot of people self-sabotage themselves. Had a young lady winning, one of my mentees winning. I mean, any page you look on her social media, winning. But she didn't realize, or she doesn't feel that she deserves it. Finally found a good guy, kind, gentle, understanding, loves to communicate, has all the physical touch attributes that she wants, everything. But she doesn't think she deserves it. I don't know. I'm just waiting for something bad to happen, or I kind of know that this is only temporary. It's not going to last forever. What? So for the first move, right, taking accountability, understanding who you are as an individual. We're going to talk about self-awareness in a minute, but you got to know who you are. You also got to understand that everything that you go through and survive and get through, when you start self-sabotaging and not feeling like you deserve good things, you're defeating the whole purpose of this journey. You deserve good things. You deserve progress, good relationships, success, love, happiness, fulfillment, growth. You deserve good things. A lot of people get in their own way because they've never had it. It feels like I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. I don't know. This is kind of a good relationship. Do you know these relationships? I've seen people go in based on previous experiences, and now they're looking for all the issues that they had before. And sometimes they don't realize it. They're picking arguments. They create turbulence. They create turbulence because they don't know what peace feels like. They don't know how to accept peace. They don't know how to enjoy peace. They seek drama. Self-sabotaging. I'm walking into this relationship looking for what's wrong. I want to see what he or she is doing. I don't think he's too good to be true. Oh, this can't be. Oh, yeah, they recognize me for my job or what I did, but this is only going to last for a minute. Next quarter is going to be somebody else. That's all self-sabotage. Love and enjoy the moment. That's like me saying I'm here on this island and trying to focus on when this tour is over versus trying to take in every single day and the beauty I can from this experience and the people and the opportunities. Reverse that. It's only temporary. I'm only here for another year plus. No. You deserve good things. And if you haven't heard this from anybody before, if you don't believe me, if you haven't experienced peace and you don't know how to protect yours and try to find it in the wrong places, listen to me. Good things and bad things will happen. You have to take the good and you have to love on every moment. You have to appreciate it and you have to take it all in and embrace it and stop looking for the bad. It's a mindset thing. Self-sabotaging is exactly what you're doing. You're looking for the bad. You're waiting for the bad. And it's going to pull you away and keep you from being able to embrace, enjoy, and take in all the good things that are happening in your life. The thing about self-sabotage, too, is going to keep you and limit you from doing some great things. There's people who won't take that next step because they don't believe in themselves. It's not just a confidence thing. They have something embedded in their brain that says, I'm not going to do it. I won't be able to. There's somebody better than me. If I do this, I'm going to fail. I won't be able to achieve what that person did. He's better. She's better. I've seen somebody taller, smarter, faster. Get out of your own head. You deserve good things. When you start believing that you are, you can, and you will achieve it, you will start doing it. It's a mindset. Nobody can beat you up more than you can beat yourself up. Nobody can lift you up more than you can lift yourself up. You versus you. And if you haven't heard anything, man, be consistent. You can't just start something and stop it. You can't make promises and not keep them. You can't. Every time you do these things, right, you talk about, first and foremost, self-sabotage, taking responsibility for your life, accountability. And now we're talking about consistency. Be consistent in everything you do. If you're trying to understand something, man, like the gym, I'm going to use that. I always go and defer to this piece right here. People go to the gym, and when they're consistent, they see growth, they see success. And what does that do for them when they're going to the gym consistently and their bodies are growing, they're getting stronger, they're getting faster, they're able to achieve more things physically, they don't feel the same soreness in those limbs. Not only does it build strength, but it builds confidence for those individuals in the gym. Man, these people are so confident these days that they can't go in the gym without their camera. They can't go in the gym without videotaping the whole workout with their buddies screaming in the background. Then they get mad when somebody crosses in front of the lens. But let me tell you, that confidence is beautiful. Somebody wants to be seen. They want to see themselves, whereas maybe a year ago, they couldn't stand what they saw in the mirror. But that consistency going and building that confidence in themselves, that courage to keep going, that confidence to keep going, that motivation to keep going. They became self-motivated to get in there. Let me tell you something that's beautiful. Imagine doing that with all aspects of your life, being consistent in your habits, being consistent in your choices, being consistent in who you surround yourself with, being consistent in what you put in your body, being consistent in all of these things. Consistency, your work habits, work. You're consistent in what time you rest at night. All of these things matter, and I can't wait to talk more to you about it after this break. 78.6 FM Yomitan, Positive Vibes of Winsome. Be right back. .6 FM Yomitan, Positive Vibes of Winsome. Before we left, man, and for the podcast, of course, still standing. You win some, you lose some. Thank you so much for listening in. I'm cutting snippets, of course, from this show and putting it on the podcast and then adding to it just to make sure we're covering these topics and giving it its time. Each segment is only a few minutes, but each podcast is averaging about 30 minutes, man, of a message. We talked about consistency. We talked about how consistency, right? Let's go over the three things that we mentioned about you versus you. Get out of your own head. Get out of your head. Get out of your own way. You hear this a lot, but people don't really understand what this means. Stop self-sabotaging yourself. Stop telling yourself that you don't deserve good things. Take accountability for the wins and the losses. Everybody wants to take accountability of the wins, right? They tell you that story all the time, but they won't tell you about the losses. They won't tell you about those L's they took, but that's part of the story. It wasn't all victory. You notice that when actors or famous people, I was put it out there, famous individuals always tell about the wins, but it's like shocking to the world when they start seeing someone going through trials and tribulations because you're so used to them showing all the glamorous aspects of their life. Take accountability for the wins and the losses. When you own it, learn from it, grow from it. I'll say this again. When you own it, you learn from it and you grow from it. Still standing. It's not what happened to you, it's what you do next. Take accountability. And then the next thing is stop sabotaging yourself. Like I said last segment, you deserve good things. And we left on the last segment on consistency. I used the example of how those folks that are consistent, when they get in there working out their bodies, is actually doing something for them. What they don't realize is when they get stronger, faster, right, bigger, or whatever they're trying to achieve in the gym, hitting those goals, or if it's an athlete, being able to do things they weren't able to do before. But what it also does, and you guys may not realize the body-mind connection, is it helps grow your mind, helps build confidence. Gets those juices flowing in your mind. If you understood the chemistry and how working out in the morning has an effect on you throughout the entire day, just as an example, imagine when you're being consistent about different aspects of your life and what message that sends to your mind. I can do this. I will do this. I am more than capable. I do have the capacity. I am more powerful than I realized. That's what starts happening when you challenge yourself and you remain consistent in your goals, habits, lifestyle, your circle, your moves. Consistency matters. Not just to those around you that are watching you, but to the person that matters the most, you, watching you. I tell you all of this because I love you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Get over it, right? Suck it up and get out there and change the way you do things and the way you see your life. Next thing, and I'm going to say this to you, and I ask this in my class all the time. Get yourself at least one personal and one professional mentor. At least one. One personal and one professional mentor. And people, it's an underrated accomplishment to have these in your life. Is undervalued, underappreciated, and I'm going to tell you the importance of having it. Remember I told you the story in the beginning of how to survive your worst days, and why it's important to be able to encourage, inspire, and help people navigate through tough times. That's my purpose. I love doing it. I love being a beacon of light. I'll have that White House logo done soon. I love being this beacon of light to people who need me. I know I can't be everywhere at all times, everywhere, anywhere at all times, but I'm everywhere that I can be, and I'm open and accessible to whoever needs me. Family, friends, coworkers, whoever, right? Doesn't matter the rank. I take my rank off when I'm at work because I'm telling you, this is about my heart and what you need from me, and I'll stop time for you. So when you're able to do that, that's called being able to be there from someone. Having that person that can walk you through personal challenges in your life, having that personal mentor that'll pick up the phone anytime you call, that'll call you back if they miss your call, that'll text you and make sure they're checking on you, that'll challenge you, that'll highlight your blind spots in life lovingly. Get yourself one. You have to have at least one personal and one professional mentor. Professional. Hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This is the direction I was going. What do you think about that? Hey, this is what my boss told me. How do I go and move on this challenge? I didn't like the way this happened. What can I do different? Someone who knows you in both of those arenas, not the same person. Let me tell you something. I've done all aspects of that, right? I've had that one mentor that's a personal professional. No, make sure you separate that. And it doesn't have to be someone that looks like you. Let me tell you something. It doesn't have to be someone that looks like you. I'm a guy and I have a lot of female mentors. And I have a lot of mentees that are not male, African American. Listen to me. Get you someone who has your best interests personally and someone who has your best interests professionally. I'm blessed because in everything that I do, everything that while I'm chasing my purpose and the direction and the path that I'm going in, I've sought out mentors in everything. Radio, podcast, job, Air Force, right? Personal, relationship. Mentors who are doing things and are in seats and positions where I hope one day to even get a piece of, let alone surpass. And also, this is something that's key to that piece of it. Get a mentor, a personal and professional. Listen to this piece. This is the important part. That wants you to be better than them. A personal and professional mentor that wants you to be better than them. Don't get the one that's trying to make you a mini version of them. And you got to put this stuff out there out front. And I love it when people are, hey, by the time you are where I am in my career right now, I want you to take off. I don't want you to be senior. I want you to be a chief or commissioned or running a program or running part of the Air Force when you're at 25 years in, like I'm about to hit, right? And that's the kind of mentor I want to be for others. I want you to be better than me. So if you're not out there seeking these people in your life, if you're not out there seeking people professionally and personally that are going to have your back, if you don't have that, get it. You versus you. Get out of your own way and keeping all this in your big old head every single day and every week. All these thoughts and movements floating around in here. And if you got somebody who can't be there, they try, their heart's in the right place, give them grace. Because I know there's people over in the stateside right now that I try to support and be there for and love on, but I'm getting pulled so much out here that I can't be there as much as I would want to be. Give us old people grace. We try. We really are. And you know I'll give anything. I even wake up at any time of the night if I get a call from the U.S. or the other countries that I support and love. But listen to me. You got to give those folks grace too and understand that we will stop time for you. Sometimes someone else might be pulling my time. And I never rank anybody who's more important when it comes to taking care of people. Everybody's journey is important. Everybody's story is important. And there's never anyone that's more important than anyone else. For me, with the exception of my babies. Right? So if my kids need me, I'm sorry. I'll call you back. Something's going on with my babies. That's the only exception. Scooby, that dog thinks he's human, so he's good. No, I'm kidding. 78.6 FM Yoma Time, positive vibes of Winsome on a podcast this weekend. I'm also going to be talking about emotional intelligence. Man, wait a minute. What is emotional intelligence, Winsome? And I don't want to cut myself short on that, man. So I want you guys to understand some of the key components to emotional intelligence. And when you hear it on the pod, you're going to have a better understanding. My most important one I want you to understand is self-awareness. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to stick to this because I only got a few minutes. So I want you to understand why it's important to know you, who you are. Imagine going out into the world every single day without knowing who you are. Imagine going to work every single day and faking it, being a fraud because you really have not broken down your own identity. Imagine going to your home after work and you really don't know what kind of father you want to be. So many stories. Had a young man, I love him, right? He really trusts me with his journey. And he actually told me one day, he said, I just want to try to figure out what kind of leader I want to be. I said, the first question you got to ask, what kind of man are you trying to be? Because if you're the best version of you, the leadership part is going to make itself. Everybody wants to tell you how to be a transformational, compassionate, all these different types of leaders. But really, you got to be the best version of a man. What kind of man are you trying to be? Every single day, because that encompasses all. If you're a husband, what kind of husband are you trying to be? I don't believe in being a boss. Excuse me, there's a gnat in here. I don't do bugs. I don't believe in the boss thing. What kind of mentor? What kind of man? And if you're a woman, what kind of woman are you trying to be? What does your character say? When you walk in the room, what do people see? And the only way to do that, the only way to be self-aware is, you got to take a tough look in the mirror and size yourself up, look yourself in the eyes, and accept who you are right now. You don't have to lie to yourself, and if you're doing that, you're a fraud. Look in the mirror and take accountability for who you are right now. That's step one. Because you don't have to stay there. And I've never told you anything different from the time that I've been on the show. You can be better than yesterday. You are not bound to wake up tomorrow and be the same person today that you were when you laid on that pillow last night. You can be whoever you choose to be today, but you have to know who you are. How do I know who I am, Winsome? This is who I think I am. All right. Remember I told you a few minutes ago, who are those people in your life that are going to tell you the truth? Who are those people that are going to tell you what you need to know or need to hear, not what you want to hear? Who are those folks that are going to tell you about those blind spots that you have in your life? Who are those people that you can call and be like, hey, man, this is what I said. Tell me how that sounded to you and don't be nice to me. The young man I was talking to last night, we were talking about his fiance is a local national here. She doesn't speak really good English, so she's trying to understand when he's dealing with different emotions, how to communicate it. And my advice to him was be patient, because you're so used to communicating to everybody else, but now you have to give more time, more heart, more patience to this person who's not only trying to understand your emotions on a human level, but trying to understand how to interpret your emotions just from the words that you're saying. They have to get there first and connect the two to make it make sense. So be patient. Are you taking that extra time to be that extra level of patient? Who are you? We tease, and I always touch on this a little bit when I'm talking about self-awareness. When I say, what is your ID? What is your chemistry? What makes you move? Who is the person that when you look in the mirror that's looking back at you? Are you in love with that person that's looking back at you? Are you disgusted? What do you want to change? What do you want to work on? What's it going to take to be the person that you're proud of when you look in the mirror, that you're proud of when other people say that name? There's people, when people say their name, they cringe. They're not comfortable in their own skin. Emotional intelligence, and I'll read the definition off on the podcast, and I might talk about it a little bit more next week, but it talks about you first. People think EQ is about understanding and navigating other people. No, if you peel the onion back and you look at it, it starts with you. You can't navigate others if you can't navigate yourself. You can't motivate others if you can't motivate yourself. You can't meet people where they're at if you have no idea what these feelings look like, sound like, or how to react to them. And you have never dealt with it yourself. You got to get in touch with who you are. You have to find out how you respond under pressure, under stress. You have to know what stress looks like. You got to be familiar with all of the emotions on the emotional wheel and what you feel throughout the day. Listen to me when I tell you this. Emotional intelligence starts with you. EQ. I'd rather have that all day in my section over IQ. You are loved, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And I can't wait to talk to you soon. Bye.